Hi, I'm Jillian, and today I'm going to be talking about how, where, why I buy my books. I'm going to be doing the book acquiring tag. The original tag was done by Enter the Book, and I was tagged by Gina Stanier Books and also Gloria Z. Thompson. Everybody is linked below. Go check them out. They are wonderful. Do you plan your book purchases ahead or do you impulse buy? I plan everything very, very carefully. However, I will very much make an impulse buy if I find the right book. So buy the right book. I'm talking about something like this, which is a first edition of Kon-Tiki by Thor Heyerdahl. I was at an estate sale, I saw this, I loved this book, and simply knew that I had to have it. How do I decide what books to buy? I'm kind of in a transition phase with this. I don't have a great place to put my books. All of these shelves are actually my children's shelves. We're redoing the house right now and we're envisioning a built-in library. Once we have that, I absolutely plan on buying a number of books and really truly decorating the space. Currently though, we're trying to keep things down because we're trying to pay for all of those renovations. There are 3 reasons that would push me to purchase a book rather than just borrow it from the library. The first would be if the book that I want to read is way too long to be able to read in the time that I can borrow it from the library. Something like Les Mis by Victor Hugo is on my TBR. I am so excited to read that book, but I won't be able to give it the attention that it needs and deserves if I borrow it from the library. Another reason that I would purchase a book is if it is recommended, but I simply can't find it. That happened recently with Bobby Deerfield, which was recommended by Anna from Blurb from the Serb. The third thing that would have me purchasing a book is if I found something to add to my collection. I have Uncle Wiggily books. These are books by Howard Garris. They were written quite a long time ago. My mother read them to me, I read them to my children, and I would like to have 2 copies of all of the books, which there are a lot. He was the most prolific children's author. I would like to have 2 copies to hand off to my children. And these are about an old gentleman rabbit named Uncle Wiggily who has these adventures meeting all kinds of scary animals in the world. They're short stories. They are perfect for bedtime for children. If you happen to find them, I'm sure your children would love them. And come on, Uncle Wiggily's Rheumatism, where else are you going to find a children's book with that kind of title? What is my philosophy on where I shop? Remember, I don't often buy books, but if I'm going to a bookstore, I would rather go to an independent small bookstore. They just feel better. I like the way they have them decorated as opposed to the same sort of cookie cutter bookstore that you find if you go to like a Barnes & Noble or something like that. If I do purchase a book, it will be physical. It will most likely be used. Unless I'm purchasing for my children, for Christmas or something like that, then I will buy a new book that I have researched heavily, but really I don't. If there's a new book that I really, really want, I just am super patient because one of the things that I really enjoy is savoring the anticipation of reading a book. What about little free libraries? I love little free libraries. They are my absolute favorite. The thing about little free libraries that I love the most is that I feel like they actually give me more of a freedom when choosing my books. And here is what I mean. If I'm buying a book and I'm spending my money, I very heavily research and carefully decide what I'm going to be buying. If I'm at a library, there's a vast array of books. Certainly I could not look at everyone, and I'm also using a list. So I go down my Goodreads list and then I go through the aisles and I pick up the first ones that they have in stock. Going to a little free library reminds me of going to a restaurant that has a small menu. If I go to a restaurant that has 25 pages of items, I end up having analysis paralysis. I don't know what I want. I don't really carefully look over each thing. I just kind of end up going for whatever, the thing that I usually have. If I have a smaller, more curated menu, like a little free library, I'm able to very carefully pore over what's inside, read the back of each book, and stretch myself and maybe pick up something that I would not otherwise have tried. For me, little free libraries represent a lot more freedom in my reading, and I highly, highly recommend finding them if you get a chance. How do I feel after acquiring a book? Do I share it in a book haul or write it in a journal, something like that? I get really excited after acquiring a book. I'm never sure what to pick up next. It's this tension between wanting to read everything at once and really wanting to just sit in one story and appreciate it for what it is. I'm very new to BookTube, but I do intend to share my hauls. I have shared one of my little free library hauls so far. How do I feel looking at my books that I have not read? Does it matter if it's a little or a lot? I don't have much sitting around that has not been read. It doesn't bother me, and I don't think it would bother me if there were a lot. How do I decide what number of unread books is the right number? Honestly, I don't. I have what I have. I try to savor each book as I read it. I don't want to rush through things because then I'm not really appreciating it. So I just pace myself and I'm not going to worry about what I have or I haven't read. Do I have a TBR game or a process for how I read these books? I don't. Since being on BookTube, this is the first time I've actually planned out what I'm going to read. I'm liking it so far. I don't have a game, but basically what I did was I went to the library, went down my list, found the first 2 available books, grabbed those, and then I looked at my bookshelf and said, well, what's been hanging out here for a while so that I can read it and then give it to a little free library or decide to keep it. So kind of a combination between what I could get at the library and also what had been on my shelf for the longest. Do I have a book buying problem? Maybe once we get the house redone and we have the shelves, then I'm going to start buying more books. And could it become a problem? I don't think so, but we'll see. Talk to me in maybe a year or so and we can get back to whether or not I have a book buying problem. At this moment though, no, I do not. And finally, tag 2 or 3 others so that I can ponder their book buying habits. I'm going to tag 2 people, Vidani Silver Scribe and also Anna from Blurb from the Serb. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time.